Thank you for joining us live on KEXP. I'm Cheryl Waters. You're listening to KEXP. We're listener-powered radio, powered by you. Thank you so much for joining us and making these wonderful sessions possible. You can visit us at kexp.org and learn more about how wonderful we are. We're looking to help you discover your next favorite band, and if you don't already know about this one, you're going to go away with a new fave. Please welcome Neal Francis live to the KEXP studios. It's so great to have you all here.
So good to be here.
Want to take it away?
Yeah.
You're not gonna die. No, no, no.
Neal Francis live on KEXP. Can't Stop the Rain from the album In Plain Sight. That was awesome. Got another one?
Yeah, this is a little song called Alameda Apartments. Going out to Yellow the Cat in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Alameda Apartments. She took all my things and left our place in flames today. As hard as I tried to keep the old place, in the end she wouldn't let me stay. When I look back at the picture, she's made it be seen that everything would end this way. As much as it hurts, it remains to state that I love her, and this is just the same. Into the Alameda Apartments. Outside from the pouring rain. My new place is haunted. The walls move in the night. I lie awake waiting for the day. It remains to be seen if the ghosts are alright, or if they want me to move away. Death in my life by the pretense that believing that God could save me from this ruin. It hurts, it remains to stay that I love her, and this is just the same. People ask if it hurts that I stood so low. In the end I let it go. And as much as it hurts, it remains to stay that I love her, and this is just the same. say timing is everything, and they went messing around. Feels so good I can finally say I can show my face round town. But fate's ain't cheating me with plans of tying me down. You know you got everything going on just right. It's just not right now. Lord knows I've got enough problems. I don't need one more. Lord knows I've got enough problems. I don't need one more. If you ask me to stay with you, they say I play along. There's nothing I'd rather do with only half my heart. It all just feels so wrong. Lord knows I've got enough problems. I don't need one more. Lord knows I've got enough problems. I don't need one more. All this crazy talk kinda got me thinking maybe I'm the only one I've been cheating. What I need to do, open up my arms, someone like you lives inside my heart till I come to my senses and remember that Lord knows I've got enough problems. I don't need one more. Lord knows I've got enough problems. I don't need one more. Lord knows I don't need one more. Lord knows I've got enough problems. I don't need one more.
You're listening to Neal Francis live on KEXP, playing songs from the new album In Plain Sight. And yesterday I played Changes on my show, and I said to someone here at the station, I hope he plays that one tomorrow. So I don't know if you got that word or if we're just psychically in sync. But this next one comes from Neal's debut album, Changes, came out in 2019.
through my life. His father and father behind me, and I'm not answering for anything I did anymore. Oh no. Changes are running through my life, and it gets harder and harder to find me. I'm not living the way I did anymore. Oh no, oh no, no, no. There's a lot of people around me saying, I think there's something not right with me. Just shouldn't need an open brain, and you'll be the one to see. Taking on to the more so twice. I'm not really sure how to live my life. I'm just taking it slow. I'm just taking it slow. Changes are running through my life, and you get smaller and smaller inside me, and I'm not living the way I did anymore. Oh no,
Neal Francis live on KEXP. All I can do is just say, woo, after every song. I'm over here dancing. I'm a little out of breath. It's so great to have you here. You all sound so fantastic together.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you so much for being here. And it feels so full circle to have you here in the studios. For those that don't know, you were one of the first bands whose in-studio sessions we had to cancel due to the COVID-19 lockdown. That was in early 2020. And then you went on to perform our very first live on KEXP at home session, which we really appreciate. We learned a lot in those. Yeah, we learned a lot in those early days, but eventually that went off to kick off a series of over 200 sessions that really fed our need to have live music during that lockdown. So thank you for being that first test case.
It was our honor, and now the portal is closed and it's smooth sailing from here on out.
Yeah, how does it feel almost 2 years later to finally be here in the Pacific Northwest playing live?
It's so easy to forget now that all of that happened in the trauma, and it's really important to remember what that was like.
Well, you were in a church when you did that session, which looked super cool, and you were actually living there. And I know that you had just moved in and had planned to go out on tour, so weren't even going to necessarily spend a lot of time in this new kind of unique environment that you had moved into. But then you ended up being there in isolation for like a year or two, which I'm sure was disappointing because you had this great tour planned. But it seemed like in some ways it was a little bit of a gift. I mean, you wrote and recorded this beautiful new album there. And I know that there's some themes of isolation, and you suffered from some depression while you were there, but you really dug in and tapped into your creative energy there. Can you tell me what that time was like and kind of how you ended up being there?
Yeah, so Collin and I lived there together after the tour that ended here. So on, I think, March 10th, we played in Seattle, and then we were supposed to play here the next day, and that was the day everything got canceled, and so we returned to Chicago. And yeah, at first we just didn't know what to do with ourselves, and it was really rough. And then gradually, just as it became clear that the situation wasn't going to end anytime soon, Kellen dropped off his 8-track tape recorder, and we just assembled a little demo studio in the basement, and that's where we just got to work and, did your live stream and just started creating films. We learned so much about video editing and recording, and it was a really valuable time for us. And I'd been the accompanist at that church, prior to the pandemic, and due to a circumstance in 2019, I ended up asking if I could live there. And yeah, they really graciously put a roof over our head.
It sounds like that time in the church was both healing and isolating, and you can feel that in the record In Plain Sight. It comes out there. It seems like such a unique, again, situation, and I'm wondering if you can kind of describe what a day was for you. I know you were working kind of as a music director at the church, and then staying up late and making this music, and then going to work in the morning. What was there a typical day?
There were phases. At one point, I think in May of 2020, it's hard to tell really, but we were a completely nocturnal schedule. Maybe waking up around 5 or 6 p.m., working all through the night, and sometimes Collin would be on a different schedule than me. So he'd go to sleep when I was starting a demo, and then I'd wake him up at 6 or 7 in the morning. I'd be like, "Hey man, can you track drums on this?" And so he'd wake up and something more or less complete was ready for him to listen to. And if it was a Saturday, that would occur, and I'd just stay up until we had our Zoom church service, and I just kind of propped myself up in a corner because I pre-recorded all those hymns, and it was pretty strange.
You worked with a very talented producer who you know well and trust, Sergio Rios of Oregon, who we love. Tell me about that relationship.
Yeah, Sergio, I've always loved his records, and I've loved his affinity. We share love of the same music. We just have a very similar taste and preference in production style and just musicality in general. So he's really easy to work with because it's like we're picking up all the same references, and he really knows how to achieve a certain sound with his equipment. And his studio is fantastic as well. It's just like this little apartment. It's kind of magical.
I heard that some friends lent you some synths for those early days in the church, and I'm curious how experimenting with those led to the kind of dreamlike quality on the record. Right.
Well, it became clear once we were ready to make the record. I mean, when I was demoing it out, I had the synths were more of a placeholder, and then I was planning to have a horn section on the final recording, and when it got around time to actually plan our recording session for the record, it was just it became clear that like having a horn section wasn't going to be feasible because of the pandemic situation. So the synths became the auxiliary element for all those arrangements, and I've always loved synthesizers in music, and I'm just learning more and more about the sounds they can create. I guess as of 48-year-old technology. So that's kind of my vibe, I guess.
It is so exhilarating to watch you play the piano. I understand you've been playing since you were very young. I've heard 4 years old, and some call you a prodigy, but suffice it to say, you're super talented. And I found it curious to read in an interview, as someone who doesn't play the piano, you talk about what a great instrument it is for arranging the songs, like being able to arrange something that you hear in your head in a way that you can't do if you're writing on a guitar. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it would always, you have the entire harmonic range of the orchestra right here at your fingertips, and so you can feel how chords would move over a bass line, execute all those things, and really, it's a great tool for just hearing large numbers of voices at one time, because you can use all 10 of your fingers.
As good as you are at the instrument, I've heard that time that you spent a lot of time alone in the church, you were constantly honing your skill. I mean, what does that mean for you to be as good as you are and then just continue to be trying to get better? What kinds of things are you trying to tackle?
That time was really when I actually started to, I feel like I rededicated myself to actually learning the instrument and learning how to play and forming like a disciplined practice routine while I was kind of stuck there because I needed to do something. So, just actually learning all the scales and how to play them in sequence, that was something I couldn't do after 20 plus years of playing, and so I learned how to do that and learned how to read music, and it was a great way to just spend a lot of time and lose myself.
Well, you've definitely talked a little bit about loneliness and isolation on this record, and you've been very open about your struggles with addiction, and I had read in some interviews how you were struggling with depression at the start of this record, but I'm so drawn to the moments of hope here. You never sort of succumb to darkness. And can you talk about staying hopeful through your music? Is that an avenue that helps you?
Yeah, I think I need to stay in a mode of optimism when I can, and gratitude, more importantly, is sort of how it comes together. It's because I remember what I do have. I have my fingers, I have my life, I have my brain, I have my friends, and during the pandemic I had the roof over my head, so I had to remind myself of that because the world outside was exceedingly dark, and that's what got me through.
KEXP is celebrating 50 years. Our anniversary is this year, and it's so exciting to have spent 50 years helping people discover music like yours. It's been our mission the entire time. And I'm wondering, as an independent artist, what does it mean for a station like KEXP to present your artists, to present your music to a fan base?
I mean, it's something that I've watched KEXP for a long time before this project even existed, and so to be here and having your station promote us and, you know, introduce us to your fans is something that I honestly didn't dream of happening. So we're really grateful for it.
Well, we're grateful to have you as part of our history, and we're glad you finally made it here to our studios, hopefully the first of many visits.
I hope so, too.
Thank you for joining us live on KEXP. It's Neal Francis in the studios playing songs from the new album In Plain Sight. I want to thank all of our listeners for making sessions like this possible. You can watch many other sessions on our YouTube channel. In fact, if you subscribe, we'll keep you posted when we launch something new and exciting for you to discover. Thank you again for joining us, Neal Francis, live on KEXP.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.